Hello and welcome to IS Primers. Now in this particular video, we'll be doing not just an important video but also a relatable video. Because there is hardly anybody who will not have been affected by the urban floods. In fact, urban floods has been recognized as an all new category of disaster. So this was done recently by India's own National Disaster Management Authority quite recently. Now the question is, why a distinct category? This distinction was required because, as you can see, urban areas are places with high population density. So large number of people are living in this area, and when the floods take place, it affects their property, it affects their movement as well as the economic activity. In fact, the urban areas are known as engines of economic growth. So all of this gets affected by the floods. And given the complexity of the high population, we need an all new approach to manage the urban floods. And also there is a need to create a new category because the intensity of the urban floods has become very severe in the recent times. So you remember, I hope you remember what happened in 2015. 2015 December, there was the Chennai floods, and it took a huge toll on the property as well as life. And this is not just 2015, in the recently almost all cities from Bombay to Gurgaon to Chennai, almost all cities have been affected by urban floods in a very negative manner. Hence, there was a need to have a proper approach on urban floods. Now moving forward on the analysis, we'll move to the causative factors. Now normally when we talk about the urban floods, it is associated with cloudburst. So around the monsoonal season, when the rains take place, it is not like rains take place in a very regular fashion. It is like a cloudburst, and suddenly there is a torrential amount of water that flows into the city. So this is what happens normally, but this is not the only source of flooding to take place. It could be because of a tsunami, or it could be because of a storm surge in a coastal area. But normally it is associated with the cloudburst that takes place. So suddenly huge amount of water flows into the ground. It is supplied to the ground over here, right? It will fall from the air to the ground only. And this water has to be dispersed off. If it doesn't disperse, and if it flows on the water on the land, then it will become a flood. So it has to be dispersed. And how will it move? It will go away by the help of either drainage system, or it seeps into the soil. So when this does not take place, it causes urban floods because it is taking place in an urban environment. Now the drainage system that was designed, it is not designed for a sudden outpour of water. That was not the purpose. That is not the purpose, because this is too much of water. So this drainage system is not able to handle it. So the thing is that this infra has to improve. And also we see when the urban floods take place, that there is poor maintenance related activities. So this is not being done proactively by the urban governments. So these are two very important factors over here. And then when we talk about the urban areas, think about it. We never talk about cloudburst when we talk about floods in rural areas or non-urban areas. We never talk because the water seeps. There is soil, water seeps into it. Normally the rural floods or the conventional floods are associated with overflowing river water. But here in the urban area, the water does not seep. It seeps but not adequately enough. This is because the urbanization that has taken place, it has led to creation of developed catchments. There is developmental activity that has taken place across the area. So catchment is a place where the water stores, or it gets collected ultimately. But because of urbanization, like construction of roads, construction of buildings, footpath, etc., there is hardly any soil or a place which is untouched with concrete. So concrete does not allow percolation of water into the ground. So it does not seep and therefore gets recharged as groundwater. That does not take place. So this is again a cause of concern. So one, poor drainage, other is the seepage not taking place leads to urban floods, or it complicates the issue. So as a result of this, the intensity of the flood or the flood peaks increases, and it increases as compared to a comparable rural area, like a nearby rural area. The intensity of the flood peak could be as high as 1.8 to 8 times. 8 times, you can imagine how severe it is. And then talking about the flood volumes, that is the amount of water that is flowing, that can be as high as 6 times. This is not said by me, it is said by the NDMA. So imagine the amount of water with the high population density. So amount of damage it is going to cause. And particularly in the slum areas where the marginalized community is living, these are the low-lying areas and they are worstly affected. Their impact is much bad as compared to the other areas which are much better off. So this is another perspective that needs to be looked into. Now, the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction, the agency responsible for disaster management by United Nations, it says that it is the unplanned urbanization and poor governance which is responsible or which intensifies the problem of urban floods. See, we know that cloudbursts will take place, we know it is taking place every year, so we need to do something about it. Some corrective measures are required, but it is not being done. Hence, it is a man-made problem over here. So, stormwater drainage systems are getting overwhelmed, plus poor maintenance. Then poor solid waste management. So, it is that plastic waste, etc. that, which chokes the pipes, the drainage pipes, and decreases the capacity of their functioning. And then the issue of encroachments taking place. Like this is an example of encroachments, the slums. And encroachment into and identifying new lands for urbanization. For example, in the nearby area like the NCR region, so there is this lake known as the Najafgarh Jheel. So this used to be about 240 square kilometers, and you can see the extent of its region like Gurugram, Rewari, Jhajjar. So very, very big lake over here. So this lake, what the people are trying is, they are trying to divert this, trying to reduce the area of this lake and transferring it to make and identify new properties. So look at this, the construction activity that is going on in this area. And this is being done by the unholy nexus of the political class, the bureaucracy, as well as the reality sector, the construction sector, so the corporates. So they are they are making a blind eye. They are not, they are turning a blind eye to the disaster in making. So this is a major problem over here that needs to be rectified. And it is these wetlands, and floodplains which actually source the water. So when the floods take place, they act as reservoirs. The water gets stored in the wetlands or lakes. And likewise, the floodplains are places which are not normally wet, but when the rains take place, the rivers pass through it. So this again solves the problem of the urban floods. Now moving on to the impact or the implications of the urban floods. Now you can see the image over here, right? And you can imagine what problems you might encounter. For example, if you're driving through it, and you may be stuck in a traffic jam because it is not possible to move. So it causes a lot of inconveniences. Sometimes the water enters into your house and you're taking buckets and throwing that water, right? So the problems arise because of that. And then it naturally affects all the aspects of normal urban life, and likewise it hampers the economic life. There is also sadly loss of life that takes place. Then there is weakening of the foundations, construction, loss of property. So you can look at this image over here. This happened in Bombay recently. So you can see how the apartment was almost about to fall. See, look at here also. So because of the rain, it is an erosion that is taking place underneath. So people are not able to see on the land, but underneath it is causing a lot of damage. So this can be a major catastrophe. Imagine if this building had collapsed, not this area, but this building had collapsed, how many lives would have been lost? So this is a major cause of concern. And what we often miss is the impact the flood has on the poor and marginalized communities. It is the poor and marginalized community which lives in unwanted areas, which live in low-lying areas, which are more prone to floods. If this was a flyover, flyover, so flyover is located in a place, normally the land goes downwards. So most of the water would have come into places where the poor people are taking a refuge under the flyover area. So this is again a cause of concern that needs to be looked into. And look at how the slums over here are affected. Urban area, the places where the rich are living won't have been affected as much as the people living in the slums over here. And when this thing takes place, sometimes their houses are not made of proper cement. They are made of temporary structures. So there is loss of property also. There is loss of economic activities, because these people live on hand-to-mouth basis. Somebody who's having an employment in a formal sector, he can, even without work, he can survive. He'll get a fixed salary at the end of it. But for them, it is much more severe. And then when there is, the water is stagnant over a place, it is prone to cause diseases. And they are the ones who are most poor in income, as well as more prone to diseases and disaster. So this needs to be looked into. Now moving on to the next part and the last leg of our session, that is recommendations or the corrective measures. Now one obvious way is that we need to restructure and reconsider our stormwater drains. So stormwater drains as well as natural drains need to be restored as well as widened. Now because the urbanization has taken place, let's say this was the original area in which people were living, but in the course of time, the area of urban area increases over the course of time, but the drainage system remains the same. So the drainage pipes, etc., needs to be widened. Their capacity needs to be improved from time to time. So this needs to be done over here. Then we need to look at predictive modeling. That okay, fine, rain is going to take place at this point of time, this corrective measure needs to be done. We need to clean the drains. We need to ensure that not many people are moving in the streets. So this corrective action is required. So to invest in a better early warning system, or you can say predictive precipitation modeling. Then we can learn from other countries. Singapore is one good example where there is scarcity of water. It's around the sea, but still there is a scarcity of water, and it is also witnesses huge amount of rain. So what it has done is that it has able to use 50% of the land for rainwater harvesting. So this can be done in any of the cities. So where we all know that urban areas are short of water, so the buildings and apartments, whenever the rain takes place, it can move to an underground tank. So we can work on this model, and later on this water can be used. Or we can look at construction of more parks and areas, open land, which allows the percolation of water into the ground. So many places I have seen where there are huge amount of parks are built, apartment and then park, apartment and then a park. So parks are also very, very helpful in this regard. Then why look at Singapore also? We have our own approach of water management, water harvesting. It is not that urbanization took place only after the British had left. We have a long legacy of urbanization, and for urbanization we need water supply. And water supply in the present times, it is done with the water pump. But these people in the past, they didn't have a water pump. Still they were able to harvest the water resources for those cities like Patliputra. So many examples are there in this particular write-up that you can see. So you can just take a screenshot. Then these are the traditional modes of water harvesting in different parts of the country. So you can see how the water is being collected in this particular Jalhara of Jodhpur or Talab or Bandi near the Gujarat, again the Gujarat and Rajasthan area. In the Thar area also they are harvesting water with the help of a tank. So the nearby water, whenever the rain takes place, it flows into it and ultimately the people take out the water. Then Johad or Kadin, again in the Rajasthan area. So we are talking about this area because this is an arid area and there is a scarcity of water. Now moving forward on the recommendations part, we only talked about harvesting of the water and the obvious things like stormwater drainage, etc. But we need to look into it in a more holistic fashion. We have to look into the issue of urbanization as such in a big way. For example, what about the marginalized communities, those who are vulnerable? So we need to look into the issue of sustainable urban development. Urban development where diversion of wetland is not taking place, which is done in a very sustainable manner, as well as which takes care of all the people that live in that area. So inclusivity needs to be considered. Now recently Delhi is creating its own master plan 2021 to 2041. So it can incorporate certain features. So Delhi is no stranger to urban flood. So this needs to be incorporated in that. And likewise for other areas. And within this, we can also look at the approach of water sensitive urban design. So urbanization, keeping in mind the issue of water scarcity or water harvesting, whatever resources are required, that can be designed right from the onset. So this can be done over here. And then we need to check the diversion of wetlands and floodplains. Also, we can look at the issue of affordable housing. Remember, the marginalized and vulnerable communities are living in low-lying areas, unwanted areas. I can't go back to the old image, but in the old image you can just rewind, you can see that that area was at the end of the first slide, at the end of the city, near the sea, and a bad Ganda Nala was flowing across it. So that needs to be looked into. And lastly, but most importantly, people should ask for reforms. And people will ask for reforms and hold the government accountable when they know about the problem. So we need to invest in education and awareness. It is not just a natural disaster, but it is a man-made disaster because the man is not taking corrective action over here. So this needs to be looked into. So this is all I have in this particular topic, that is urban flooding, and we have done it in a very comprehensive manner. So this is all we have. Thank you for streaming in to IAS Primers with me, Shubhashis Singh Rahal, and all the best for your preparation. And please do like, share and subscribe. I keep forgetting that.